With the latest on Mercedes Moné's contract status and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Responding to the notion that he stole the idea for the NWO from invasion angles like UWF versus NJPW, former WCW president Eric Bischoff said this on his 83 Weeks podcast. I guess Dave Meltzer and the rest of the fan base like to say, oh, he stole NWO idea. I never studied their creative. I don't know anything about their takeovers or invasions. I studied the overall presentation of why do people in Japan think pro wrestling is real and why do people in the United States think it's a joke. That's what I was looking for, and that experience of going to Japan with the respect of what can I learn here. You can't export everything from Japan and it works. The culture is different. There are so many variables in the states that we don't have control of, so you can't export everything you see and bring it back, but there are some things. Sticking with Bischoff, he would also say this regarding AEW president Tony Khan, comparing his company's ticket sales to that of WCW. For those that don't remember, here's what Khan said during the post-ROH Final Battle Media Scrum. The numbers we're doing for our tickets are not only comparable to what WCW was doing in the mid-90s, but in many cases better. So our numbers are better per show than in WCW 94 and right on 96 and 95. Bischoff replied, I've never heard so much meaningless BS in all my life. This is not a press conference. This is let me get up there and talk about how great I am and how great this company is and try to blow smoke up everybody's ass. The hardcore X and Twitter fan base is going to suck it up and they're going to be repeating it word for word. The problem is that there is nothing but air in all of those comments. It's nonsense. Trying to compare AEW ticket sales to WCW in 1996? Are you freaking high? Every week we do this show, we're covering WCW. We're talking 18,000, 19,000, 17,000, 40,000 people for a TV show. AEW is scaling down 10,000 seat arenas for 5,000 people, and they're praying that they get the walk-ups. Otherwise, they're not going to sell out. How can you make those statements and expect anybody to think you have any credibility whatsoever? A couple days ago, Tony Khan took to X and asked AEW fans how they were feeling. Former WCW star Disco Inferno said, like the shows need a reset. Khan replied, the belief that you're an irrelevant parasite unites the entire pro wrestling community. Now, another former WCW star, Crowbar, has come to the defense of Disco. Here's the clip.
The Disco Inferno trends yet again and causes controversy. Let me say first and foremost, I am not good friends at all with the Disco Inferno. Throughout my professional career, our relationship has been cordial at best. Hey man, how you doing? I'm doing good. How are you? Be safe later. Thank you. We've never gone out. We've never hung out. Never had breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a meal together. We don't talk. We don't text. We don't message each other. And if I happen to see him at an autograph signing or something, like years ago, the relationship is just cordial. We're two totally different people outside the ring. I disagree with a lot of the stuff he says on social media. I agree with some of the stuff he says on social media. He seems to be having an issue with Tony Khan now. Tony accusing him of seeking clout, trying to be relevant, whatever. Maybe he is. Maybe Disco Inferno is trying to be relevant and stir the pot a little bit. I don't know. But this video has nothing to do with that. Every time Disco Inferno trends, what I do see is a barrage of comments. The Disco Inferno was never over. The Disco Inferno was never important. The Disco Inferno sucked. The Disco Inferno was never good. In my opinion, those comments from the insiders, from the internet experts, what have you, couldn't be further from the truth. Disco Inferno had a role to play in World Championship Wrestling. He was given a role in our live action, drama, cartoon, whatever you want to call it. He was not meant to be the world champion. He was not meant to be the United States champion. He was not meant to be a top guy. to beat a lot of people or anything like that. But he had a role, and he played that role exceptionally well. Disco Inferno made the people laugh. Disco Inferno made the people shake their heads and just, what is this guy doing? Disco Inferno made the crowd, the live crowd, do that dance when he came out. You don't believe me? Go back, watch a Nitro, watch a Thunder, watch a pay-per-view, watch a Clash. When he comes out and does that dance, look in the crowd. I guarantee you will see a significant number of fans doing that dance, and I'm pretty sure they would do it at home and chuckle and giggle and play right along. He was an exceptionally good comedic character. I thought the gimmick was outlandish. I enjoyed watching it, and I think that gimmick could have went on for years and years and years had WCW stayed in business. I'm actually shocked that it wasn't used in WWE when they bought the company, but that's just me. As far as work rate goes, was Disco one of your typical 5-star match guys? Absolutely not. But what I can say about Disco Inferno was he always had a solid, good, acceptable match for television wrestling, whether he was wrestling a cruiserweight, heavyweight, top guy, middle of the card guy, bottom of the card guy. I'm just saying he played his role, what his role was, exceptionally well, and you could always count on the Disco Inferno to have a good, solid match. And from a business standpoint, there's a tremendous amount of value in that. I personally think the worst thing he did was when he tried to be a more serious wrestler in the later stages of WCW. I think that comedy thing had legs. The people enjoyed doing it, and they would have continued to enjoy doing that. That's all. Not a commentary on the current state of the fight between him and Tony Khan or anything, but I am addressing the comments that I will always see about the Disco Inferno. Not stirring it up. I'm just being brutally honest. He had a role to play. He played it well. Probably played that role way better than a lot of guys that get that role. And that's it. That's just the truth.
Asked how it feels to arguably be the greatest pro wrestler of all time, Chris Jericho said on Insight with Chris Van Vliet, "If I died tomorrow, everyone would say I'm one of the greatest of all time. I think because I'm still here, still doing it at the highest of levels." There's a lot of people online that just hate that, so if Chris Jericho says the sky is blue, I'm an a-hole because this guy says it's obviously red, so you deal with that. Like, there's a lot of Chris Jericho haters right now. It's kind of in vogue to hate Chris Jericho for whatever reason, and once again, I've never cared. I mean, sometimes it gets to you, but I only judge myself. Am I still able to have the best match on the show on any given night? Yes. Not every night, but on any given night. Am I still doing entertaining segments and having great matches and thinking of ideas and building the company and helping build others? Yes. When that starts disappearing, then I'll reevaluate, but for now, I mean, dude, I don't know. At the risk of not sounding humble, I don't know who's had a longer career than I've had with as much diversity, evolution, reinvention, and actually just the opponents that I've had. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in the history of the business who has worked almost everybody. I worked Dick Murdoch, and I worked with Takeshita. I worked with just like anybody in between that kind of falls in there. You name somebody of top value from the last, let's say, the mid-80s till now, and I've worked with 99% of them. As it's been reported that Matt Riddle is looking to either have an MMA fight or boxing match against Jake Paul, the former WWE and UFC star said this regarding a boxing bout with Paul, telling Muscle Man Malcolm, "I mean, yeah, I'll do anything for some money, but I prefer doing mixed martial arts, so yeah, boxing, whatever, kickboxing, whatever, I'll fight anybody anytime." Recalling physical altercations CM Punk had on a flight for the Tribute to the Troops show in 2006, The Undertaker said on his 6 Feet Under podcast, "We're drinking, everyone is carrying on. Somehow or another, the discussion comes up. I don't know if Vince McMahon instigated this one or not. Bradshaw was on this flight too. The topic comes up as we're on the way over. CM Punk, he fashioned himself as a jiu-jitsu practitioner. Someone broached the question, you did jiu-jitsu. How long do you think you could last with one of these two wrestlers? It was Bobby Lashley, who wrestled for the Army, and Shelton Benjamin, who wrestled in Minnesota. Two high-level amateur wrestlers. To Phil's credit, he said, I'll tap them out. That was about all it took. Now, the pot begins to really get stirred. Shelton, at this time, he didn't drink at all. I remember Vince pouring a styrofoam cup full of wine, and Shelton just gulps it down. I honestly can't remember who went first. There is not a lot of room. It's tight, but there's enough room. I want to say the first match lasted about 47 seconds. The other one was sub 40, where they had taken them down and pinned him. He didn't back down, but my goodness, it was like blood in the water and two great white sharks circling. They could not wait. They didn't disappoint. That was another fine case of Vince McMahon disturbing. At a WWE live event, Seth Rollins took to the microphone and paid tribute to the late Bray Wyatt and Brodie Lee.
Now they got the lights down real low for us. The moon is saying, what do you got? Any fireflies on the audience tonight? Oh, I see a couple. I see a few now. Yeah, light us up here tonight, Rochester. Yeah, this time of year, loved ones are always on our mind, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Revealing a pitch that was made to have a manager in AEW, Leo Rush told Muscle Man Malcolm, I've got a story with CM Punk. I definitely have a story with CM Punk. I remember me and CM Punk doing like the beginning of the show when we first all came in the building, and I remember seeing him sitting in the bleachers, and I just walked over and introduced myself to him. Told him how much I looked up to him as, as a kid. I didn't want to make him feel old, but I told him that I looked up to him, that I appreciate his work and his time in WWE. A couple of months later, probably about a month or two later, he ended up coming to me with an idea. I don't even know if I should say this, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. I remember he came up with an idea where he wanted Danielle Fishel to come into AEW to be my manager because we had that mutual friend in Danielle. So yeah, that was an idea that came up that he wanted to talk to me about that never really came to fruition. But yeah, that's my CM Punk story. I've got a couple more, but maybe I'll save it for a book one day. As CM Punk could take up a leadership role for NXT, and with him receiving praise from Shawn Michaels, Fightful noted that HBK said that he wanted Punk in NXT, and Punk didn't take that endorsement lightly. Another source in NXT said that they got along as good off-screen as they did on-screen at NXT Deadline. When Shawn Michaels publicly endorsed CM Punk, a lot of people rolled their eyes and said, yeah, I bet. Well, look at where CM Punk has been multiple times as of late, going to NXT, going there when he doesn't have to, and working to help out. Maybe it's just the honeymoon period, but it seems like that endorsement, whether or not that had anything to do with Punk going to NXT, couldn't have hurt. With her having fought in Bellator MMA prior to signing with WWE, Lola Vice said this about a UFC crossover, telling Jim Varsalone, well, I have mixed thoughts about that making move to UFC via TKO, because right now I'm very committed to being the best wrestler or superstar in the history of WWE, and I'm a big believer that you have to stick to one path and commit to that, and you can't really do 2, 3, 4, and then just be okay in all of them. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to be the best at it. Maybe that's in my cards in a while. If Hunter wants me to do it, whoever my boss is, I will do what they want, and of course I'll be open to it. I love fighting, but right now I'm completely dedicated to the WWE, and that's my only goal. Sharing her thoughts on her WWE tryout, Lyla Fit wrote on Instagram, WWE tryouts. Wow, I don't even have any words to describe this past weekend. When I received the invitation, I seriously couldn't believe it. I actually thought it was fake for a second because I was like, what? The WWE? There's no way. I'm still in shock and I cannot believe I had such an incredible opportunity. This had to have been one of the most memorable experiences of my life. I am so grateful. This experience pushed me completely out of my comfort zone, both physically and mentally. I also had the opportunity to be alongside some of the most amazing, supportive, and talented people I've ever met. I have so much love and respect for every single one of them. Everyone pushed themselves to their limits, toughed it out, no matter how much it hurt, and gave 120% of their effort. No matter how beat up we were, we always did everything with a smile, and we sure to uplift and cheer for all of our other friends. A memory that will last a lifetime. Thank you to every single one of you who support me, to the WWE team and coaches, and to the most talented and supportive athletes I met during this trip. I love you. She also posted this video.
Quite actually, I cannot believe I'm about to say this right now. And this is probably the craziest and most random thing I've ever done in my life. I'm in Orlando, Florida right now at WWE tryouts. Like, I don't know how I got here.
Recalling her previous matches and feuds with men in WWE, Rhea Ripley told the West Australian, "I don't think getting compared to China is a bad thing at all. I think it's amazing. I'm actually very proud of that fact. The only problem that I'm having at the moment is that I've done all these amazing things with men that have been so good to me and let me do these things. While I was doing that, the women's division was suffering a little bit and not getting built the right way. It was at a weird time where things weren't certain and things were changing constantly, so the women's division suffered a little bit, and now we're trying to build it back up. Obviously, we have like our Becky Lynch's, we have Nia Jax, we have Charlotte Flair's or Asuka's, all of that, but it's time to make some new stars as well, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make new names and get the women's division rocking and rolling. So there's a lot of great challenges, but for me, I love doing everything. I love beating the men up. I love beating the women up. It makes me different. It makes me stand out, and it's a lot of fun." Talk about his experience with a shoulder injury from October of 2021, which left him out of action till March. Kota Ibushi said this to Pro Wrestling Noah's website. "As for that, I'm not sure when it will be over for me either. I'm not the type to set my own time frame, so I want to do as much as I can. But, well, if I can't do it anymore, if there is no more demand, I think it's the end. If there is no more demand, I ask them to cut me off immediately. I'm the type of person who says that if I find out, I'll quit immediately. Conversely, Mr. Marufuji is the type who decides. He has 5 years left. I hope I can play a role in that time." With pro wrestling referee Earl Hebner being in on the Montreal Screwjob, he and Bret Hart have apparently buried the hatchet, as he told Steve Fall. "I have a merch shirt that says, 'Damn right I did,' and a lot of people want me to say, 'Can you write on it, I screwed Bret?' I go, 'No, I can't do that.' A while back, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I would do it, but Bret and I made up. And before my brother passed, we were at a house show or indie show, and he was there, and he called us into the ring, and he put us over like big time. So now Bret calls me now and then, and I'll call him, and we got a good relationship back, and I'm not going to screw it up by writing something over a dumbass shirt. It's going to destroy our friendship. For a long time, and honestly, it bothered me. It was bad for me, you know, because I carried it with me for a lot of years. We met one time at an airport, and I wanted to talk to him, and he said, 'I don't want to talk to you.' I said, 'Can I talk to you for a minute?' He goes, 'I don't want to talk.' I said, 'Okay,' so I let it go, and that was it. And as time went on, you know, it finally worked out well. We got to see each other and communicate." Teasing a return to WWE for the Royal Rumble, Chris Masters wrote on X, and now the participant who drew number 2 and posted this clip. With it previously reported that AEW no longer has a working plan to bring in Mercedes Mone, an update has been given by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful. Speaking of NJPW, Mercedes Mone is not currently signed to the company, contrary to a recent Sportskeeda post that said she was. Also, not true from that post, Fightful never reported that Mercedes demanded a huge sum of money from WWE. This made its way around non-reputable Facebook aggregators, which we corrected numerous times on our own page. We've not reported on any active talks between the two sides, only spoke about our opinions on the matter. As of December 18th, we've not been informed of any talks. We have heard that WWE is planning on renewing talks with multiple free agents after the new year, though we haven't been told that she is among them. Ringside News added that last week a rumor surfaced on Twitter, but subsequent information revealed its inaccuracy, tweets suggesting that the WWE creative team had received directives to generate ideas for Mercedes' return to WWE gain momentum. Nevertheless, according to sources close to creative, no one has been instructed to prepare for such a return, whether it is planned or not. Similar to CM Punk's return, creative wasn't given prior notice, although such information is typically provided for most others. While WWE has previously expressed interest in bringing Mercedes back, this is not a recent development. Despite reports indicating a lack of awareness regarding AEW plans, some online reactions hastily inferred that WWE is orchestrating her immediate return. However, no such information has been brought to their attention either. Sean Ross Sapp noted for Fightful that there was a rumor that went around Twitter that the WWE creative team was told to come up with an idea for Mercedes Mone. That is not true. Now, whether or not she is coming in, WWE creative teams have not been told to come up with any creative for her. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.